I think a lot of people are doing landscape painting or cityscape painting today. But I don't think anyone's doing the kind of work I'm doing with the reliefs. You see there's sculpture across the street and there's sculpture down the block, and there's nothing like this. So there's something much more personal about the biblical reliefs that I'm doing. And I also think it relates to present day, the way human beings are killing each other all over the world. All goes back to the stuff that really began centuries and centuries ago. It's what the Bible is talking about. So it's an interesting relationship. The story of why I started doing this, yes. I was asked to curate a show on biblical stories. And I felt I did curate the show, but I told them I only would curate the show if they let me be in it. And they said, yes, of course. So I wanted to do sculpture. They wouldn't let me do three-dimensional sculpture. So I said, okay, I'll do reliefs. I had never done reliefs before either. And then as I started working on it, I realized I didn't understand the stories. So I went, this was in a synagogue, I went to the rabbi and I said, I can't do this without understanding the stories. And he lent me a book on the commentaries. And I found the commentaries incredible. I just couldn't stop reading it. It was just incredible. It opened up all kinds of things.
Could you give us an example?
Well, the main example...
How some of the stories influence...
Well, there are many things. For instance, there were two... I chose sibling rivalry as my theme. And for this show, I picked Cain and Abel. It was the first... I thought we'll start at the beginning, right? I didn't go back to Adam and Eve, really, but Cain and Abel were the first siblings. So I learned a lot. I mean, it was, let me see, what are some of the things I want to share with you. I learned that, well, for one thing, I always thought that we were descended from Cain and Abel, and we're not. They were wiped out. They were wiped out because of the idea of, well, I'm going to get confused now. The idea of sin starts to come up. And actually, it's in this relief. This is the figure of sin. And according to the Bible, sin, if you don't take care of your business, sin will sit at the door of your grave. So this is sin because Cain really was out of control. They couldn't handle it. And then the idea of jealousy being such a deadly emotion interested me too. It comes up over and over again. Jealousy is incredible.
So there's a lot of conflict.
Well, it's jealousy. It's jealousy, and the idea of
this is the Genesis, right?
That is.
I mean, that's the beginning of.
That is the two babies and Eve, right? But the idea of, there are a lot of ideas that came out. I mean, I couldn't deal with them all, but one of them was the Jewish idea of doing your best. You do your best in life, and even the Jacob and the angel, also that idea comes out, doing your best. And in this particular story, you have Abel giving his best. He gives his best. He's the one who takes care of animals, and so he gives his best sheep to God. And that's the sacrifice. And the problem with Cain is that he didn't. He gave whatever he could find. He didn't pay much attention. And so God actually, I had misunderstood the story. I thought God just liked lamb more than vegetables. But it's the idea of that Abel tried the hardest, really tried to do the best. And so you have a lot of jealousy, and there is Cain crawling over the picture to try to get at Abel with the knife, and eventually he does get him. He kills him.
So, could you explain a little bit how you organized the imagery?
It's organized like this. You have the beginning, Cain and Abel, and then you have Abel. It's wonderful because it's also the story of human beings. It's the story of going from hunter and gatherer, which was the Garden of Eden, to civilization. This is the beginning of civilization. And in the civilization, you have taking care of animals and you have planting. It's the step away. And also Cain, later on, was the builder of cities. So it's the beginning, even though he was wiped out by God, and his descendants were wiped out by God. We have nobody who ever progressed from here. Cain's descendants were wiped out in the flood. And the person that is our ancestor is Seth. They had another baby, and I don't do that.
You don't go there.
I don't go there. So, what was your question?
Well, how did you organize?
Counterclockwise. This is the babies, and then this is Abel, and this is Cain planting, and then the sacrifice, and God is sort of symbolized by the sun shining on that sacrifice, and then we go here, and Cain is taking a peek at what's happening over there. He doesn't like it. And he tries to get at Abel, and then down here is the murder.
Now, are you influenced by any particular artists, any two-dimensional artists?
Well, I certainly was influenced by Ghiberti. I love Ghiberti. And I tried to find reproductions of those doors in Florence, and I really couldn't find them. And then the Metropolitan Museum had a show of Ghiberti reliefs, and I went to see them. And I understand why it took him forever to do. It took him 24 years. And I understand it now. So that was my big influence, I think.